So how did this whole social thing happen? It started in 2019. So around March, April 2019 is when I said, I'm gonna commit to posting 3 to 5 times per day, every day. Whether we up or down, whether it's good or bad, your birthday, my birthday, Jesus' birthday, I'm gonna post 3 to 5 times per day. If I just show up and do the work and get my ego out of how many likes, comments, saves, and shares, let's see what happens. So the first thing is, if you do the work, 2 things are gonna happen. Either one, you're gonna get so embarrassed because the content gonna be so bad, folks are gonna stop liking, mute, unfollow, and either that's gonna crush you, or it's gonna inspire you to create better content. And so I knew marketing, right? But I didn't fully understand Instagram content from pure original. So let me just show up and do the work. And then what happens is you post 3 things, one thing does better than the other 2, you put it to the side. And you do 3 more, and one does better than the other 2, and you put it to the side. And then you do 3 more. Now you got 3 that's done well, but one of those 3 has done better than the other 3.
So do you post the 3 in like, are you posting in the archiving now, or you just leave them
So
on?
it just depends, but like, you don't have to archive it. I think you're just looking at it, you're just studying it, right? So, and you want to say, well, what was I talking about? Because these are the 3 that always do well, and then you compare them against each other. It's like A/B testing, or ABC testing in this case. And so what you're left with is really, really good content that's repeatable. And if you know what you're trying to accomplish. So for me, I go for a feeling in the content. So not just enough to say, hey, if you take $500 and invest it in ads, you will be able to scale this to 10 grand. But give me the feeling. Like the feeling is, you got that 3rd bedroom, it feels comfortable to say you have a 3-bedroom house. It don't feel comfortable to say that your sister live with you. However, moving your sister in will bring you $500 extra per month, and then you take this money and put it into. So like I give them more emotion, not just the logical, factual piece. And we can get into that in a little more detail. But like it started in 2019. I started showing up.
Followers were where?
3,500.
3,500.
Yeah, something like that. So I social proof, right? When people going around and you're like meeting folks and who is this and who is that, somebody said, this is how your ego can motivate you though. Somebody was like, what's your name? And I'm like, I'm Mahdi, and I like speak later. And they was like, well, you on Instagram? I was like, yeah. They like, you only got 3,500 followers. I was like, but they know something you don't know, right? You just wait.
You just don't know I'm dope yet.
You just don't know I'm dope yet, right? Sometimes you need that. So posting frequently was my first thing, right? And then you get better. What else starts to happen, and this the real thing. Content creators, y'all gotta come up with content every day. My job was like, I want you on that day where you ain't got nothing to just bow out and give it to me and repost my stuff. You know what? This better than what I would write. You know what? I ain't got no video, let me share his. So then you get larger people starting to amplify your message. And then once I started seeing the daily follower increase, I said, I'm on to something. And I know my numbers. So like 2018, I averaged 3 new followers per day. 2019, I averaged 17 new followers per day. This year, I'm averaging 140 new followers every day. But people ask, it's easy to keep going now. I got 60-something thousand. How you keep going when you're only getting 3 new people? You got to show up for the process. You know what I'm saying?
So you're showing up. A part of it is, I want to have so much that for these big accounts, if you can't think of nothing, just go on and grab them ID.
I got you. And then here's the other part. Don't nobody got 3 to 5 things to talk about every day, which means you better start reading some books. You better start listening to some podcasts. You better start watching some documentaries. If not, you will run out of stuff to say. So people be like, bro, how do I keep coming up with something? You need to keep learning. If not, how many times you gonna show me this hoodie? Right? Give me something. And so you can't give what you don't have. So for me, it's a reverse engineering way into pushing people into personal development.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, Mahdi, your posts were really focused on just like pure entertainment. You were foolishness, just foolishness, right? How did you, if you had to do it all over again, would you start like that? Or would you start with the kind of content that you post today that talks more about business? Because sometimes that transition from going to the funny, from going from the funny and entertaining, and now having people wanting to like pay you money for your marketing expertise. Was that transition difficult?
I still think he blends though. I haven't seen him go
he blends now, but in the beginning, it was pure foolishness.
So y'all crazy. You don't need. This is why you don't need old friends. Quit bringing up old stuff.
Hilarity.
But let's
real talk though.
Let's tell the longer story, right? So for me, on let's just take Instagram. At first, my page was private because, like everybody else, you working a job and you don't want to be that person that, like, they don't know you got two personalities. Right. They don't know nothing about code switching. Right. So you're like nervous. Again, this starts to infect the way you see the world. Now you think I got to shrink. Yeah. And you think I got to hide. So when I remember the day I made my page public, it was like liberation. And so all the ratchet and the fun came from feeling like you've been bottled up for so long. So it's just like meme or video or whatever else. Let me get this thing out. And then when I said this thing is for real, right? You got 8 billion people in the world. You have 1 billion people every month on Instagram, 500 million people every day on Instagram. You can change your life. All right, let me get for real. Put on that marketing stuff that you know. You know what I mean?
So you did consciously say, okay,
yeah,
enough of
because
this part, let me get for real.
So the first part was I was making my money away from social. So I didn't see social as a route into business.
Okay.
Like when you go get these contracts, these people ain't checking your Instagram, right? They like, can you do what you say you can do? Show me past examples of your work.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I didn't have no pressure to make money from Instagram.
Got you. Okay.
So that's also how I was able to push out so much content, is that I wasn't trying to monetize. So I didn't I sold one thing in 2018, it bombed. And I was like, I will never bomb again. Right? I won't do this again. So I didn't sell my first thing again until 2020. Just content, value and content. Yeah. Sure, and then I had to find my voice. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of folks, they're in that space now where you got some dope stuff. You don't know how to package it up.
Right.
And then you got to have the, you got to get out of your head. And I'm an overthinker. You got to just get this stuff out there and let it sort of do whatever it needs to do.
So you now have a program, the 100K
campaign. Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So this is one of those things that I didn't have the words again, but I found myself in this. I was coming from looking at millions. That was my concept of entrepreneurship. Why would you start a business if you don't want to be a millionaire? Just go work a job and have weekends, right? Like that's how I thought. And I'm talking to one of my buddies and he's like, bro, you're stressing yourself out with this $1 million thing. Like, you know how to build a $100,000 business, right? I'm like, yeah. You built some, right? Yeah. You've helped other people. Yeah. Teach that. I'm like, boy, you're brilliant. You're genius, right? You're brilliant. So I start doing some research. It's an average 150-something million working Americans. What percentage of Americans with jobs do you think make 6 figures or more?
5%?
5%? What do you think?
3%?
I think it's about 3%.
So depending on the population, across America, it's about 10% of people are over 6 figures. In the black community, it's like 3%, right?
Gotcha. Network marketing told us 5%, wasn't it?
It could change, right?
We're talking to our community though. You know?
So
I
look,
think in that community, yeah.
So now you got 90% of people with jobs. And even though we're entrepreneurs, the world starts to look like you, but most people ain't entrepreneurs. Right. Most people work a job, right? So 90% of folks working jobs don't make 6 figures. So then I'm like, well, what do entrepreneurs make? And now let's talk about net, right? You made a post about.
Oh, you're talking about people who have jobs.
Yeah, people with regular jobs.
With regular jobs. Gotcha. Okay.
So entrepreneurs is about the same. So you only got about 5% of entrepreneurs that are really getting over that level. But most people is a single person running your job. It's just Mahdi Woodard LLC, and I'm Mahdi Woodard. And those folks are making 47 grand, 82 grand, 71 grand, and you're keeping 24,000 after taxes or whatever else. So I'm like, before we start like celebrating high-fiving tens and hundreds of millions and selling out in 30 seconds, the everyday person, you telling me 6 grand a month extra won't change your life? 7,200 won't help you out?
For sure.
So I'm like, let me focus in on this thing. And so we are 4 months in, which feels crazy because I'm like, it feels longer than that. We're 4 months into this whole sort of revolutionary thinking on my end, which is helping people understand the information and get the tools and resources to build a 6-figure business. And so it sort of has 2 components. There's a membership club piece for folks that want that longer sort of camaraderie, that want to learn and grow over time. And then I teach 1 to 2 classes per month that are subject-based. So if you want to figure out how to grow your Instagram, how to monetize, how to do whatever, And so people kind of come in the front of the funnel that way, and then they've got options for how they want to stay and stick around.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so who do you recommend this 100K campaign for?
So I think it's two people that really, really benefit from it. And the first person is the one who's, you've got the ideas, you've got like, you want to do this thing, right? You're past the point of like, should I jump? You're just really trying to get the right information. Because on the internet, it's the wild, wild west. You can't tell that the info is out of order. You don't know who's credible and who's not. We were just talking about how people can fudge their numbers and copy and paste and make graphs.
Yeah, you can't see the course until you buy it.
Yeah, so for the person that's like, yo, I want like to get it from a trusted source, I would say that's a critical person. And so if before you sign up for the annual thing, take a class. I ain't greedy. I'll take your money and apply it towards the bigger purchase. We ain't tripping, right? It's all good. So that's first. The second is the seasoned business person that consistently can't make 100,000. That's humble enough to say, I've been trying to do it my way. I'm open, like really open to being coached through this process. Because I may just be one or two things off from getting it, but for whatever reason, my 3 years of trying this ain't been working, right? And so what's dope about it is that we're able, I heard you on Clubhouse the other day talking about, we were talking about gamification, how you celebrate people and different incentives. So one of the dope things that happens in the club is because everybody's at different levels, you can celebrate people for their growth.
Exactly.
So there was one young lady that says, I've been an entrepreneur for 3 years, but I never sold anything. In this program, I just made my first sale ever. Somebody just bought an $800 coaching thing from me, and I'm like overwhelmed with joy. And we high-fiving and like, you need to be celebrated like the person that just made $1 million, as opposed to like only feeling like you can only get celebrated when you hit certain thresholds. You know what I'm saying? So we try to do a good job of sharing the praise and letting everybody feel valued. And
so some practical tips for the entrepreneur who, you know, we're not necessarily focused on the 100,000.
Yep.
Let's focus first on covering your expenses.
Okay.
Right? For that entrepreneur who says, I just need to make money in my business, I want to cover my expenses, based on what you see most often from your audience, from your community, what would be 3 to 5 tips that you would give them to assess or audit in their plan or structure right now?
Yeah, so for people wanting to cover their expenses, the first thing, and this is a non-tangible thing, but it's still step number one, put some respect on it. Like a lot of us, we just throw around business and entrepreneurship, like because you worked up the courage to be an entrepreneur, people are supposed to buy from you.
Right.
Or because you just decided to print some shirts, I'm supposed to want one. But like have some humility and appreciation to like the forefathers. But I mean, like put some respect on this. You want to, out of your own brain, create stuff and you want people to buy it so you can cover your expenses and you feel entitled to them. Like you tripping.
You feel
like,
entitled to the sale.
Right, so step one, calibrate your brain. This is a beautiful, wonderful thing. We still got a world of folks. Y'all know I get long-winded, so bring me back in. There's a world of people that live off less than $2 a day, and you tripping because I won't buy your $58 hoodie. Like you need some context.
Right.
So first, I would say calibrate your brain for what you're really trying to do.
Okay.